So one of the things that came out of having the second book kind of be thrust upon me, as I mentioned, my wife just kind of said, hey, why don't you write another book that goes with this one, was as I wrote the second one, I was basing it off of the layout and the format of the first book. And I said, oh, just like the Write the Damn Book project, or course rather, that has kind of three main parts. So I'm gonna write both my books in three main parts, but also that reflects that a screenplay or a script or a film usually has three main parts. Just like any story, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Or to use script format, you have a first act, a second act, and a third act. And so I thought it was very fitting to organize both the books in three parts to reflect the three parts that a script or a film has. But also I think that that is useful for people in creating any kind of large project. You know, there's the kind of pre-creation / getting going part where you're like really excited and you have been thinking about this for a long time. You can't wait to do it. You're you know, staying up late, you're getting up early, you're just diving in. And then there's kind of that middle part where you're like, it's kind of murky, you know, it's hard to maintain the pace. You've put things off for the first, you know, flurry because you were super excited, and now you're kind of like, well, I need to catch up on life, or I need to catch up on work, or I need to catch up on my family. Like, well, I didn't have a chance to write today, or I didn't get a chance to edit the film today, or well, that's okay, I'll get to it tomorrow. And then it starts to kind of fall apart a little bit. And then at some point you go into the final stage, which is, you know, getting back on the horse and recommitting and really diving into like, I want to finish this, and then you get it done. And then you have that same kind of excitement that you had at the beginning, which is, oh, now I've got a film, or now I've got a book, or the play is done, or the new course is created, whatever the long-term project is. And there's a sense of relief that you finish, but there's, again, this sense of excitement, like, oh, I can't wait to show it to people. I can't wait to see what people think. I can't wait to put it out in the marketplace. I can't wait to have somebody buy it. So again, I thought it was really interesting to parallel those kind of three parts to the creative process with the three parts of a film or a script, and the three parts that are in my film. And again, the three parts that are in our You're the Expert, Write the Damn Book program. One of the things that I'm super grateful to Ben about is he gave me the concept of positioning myself as an expert in the marketplace via a book. And as I mentioned a minute ago, that's something that I am using these to do. I am promoting myself as mentoring people in a few different realms, and one of them is on projects, specifically books and film. And by having a book or two books, a pair of books, I'm going to be able to more easily be seen as an expert in this marketplace. I'm creating a number of courses, and one of the things that came out of Ben and I talking and coming up with our course, You're the Expert, Write the Book, was the idea of, oh, if you have a course, the book that you write becomes the, you know, the homework or the structure or the main content for the course. So again, anyone who has either a class they want to create, a film they want to make, a play they want to write, a book they want to put out, not only is that a long-term process, but it's also something that can be more than just the thing itself. So for instance, writing a script isn't just a document, it's the blueprint for a film. And then the film isn't just the movie that plays in the theater. It's, well, it used to be a DVD that people could buy. But I mean, now it's pretty much people are going to stream it or they're going to download it. But still, it becomes a product. It becomes something that people buy. But also it becomes a way to introduce them to you as a creator. It becomes a way to introduce them to the key cast or the key crew, you know, the main actor and actress. It becomes a way to sell a soundtrack. It becomes a way to sell merchandise or toys if it's a kid's movie. All that stuff is peripheral to the main thing that you made, in this case, a film. So again, for me, my book was written for the express purpose of helping people who want to make an indie film so they can make it faster and easier without having to stumble through film school and 20 years of making, notes and notebooks. But also, it's something I can give to my clients. It's something I can use to leverage my name above other people who are mentoring someone in a creative field. If I am an author of 2 books in film, as opposed to someone else who isn't, probably someone's going to go with the author of 2 books. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was my books and what they're about and how I'm going to utilize them to help people make movies. But also, for anyone who is watching this who is a coach, a mentor, a consultant, any kind of an expert or creative in your field, you too can write a book or create a course and use that for more than just what it is by itself. One of the things that I wanted to get into is, as I mentioned in the beginning, we have this 3 parts to the Write the Damn Book program, and I really thought they were instrumental in me helping myself organize my book. And the first one, as I mentioned, was why. And partly that's like, okay, well, who am I going to write it for, and why are they going to want to read it? Not only why am I writing it, but why are they going to want to read it? And so with the Film Notes book, part of the process of making a film is, well, if you are a indie person, you're probably going to be writing it, directing it, producing it, doing kind of all of that major creation stuff yourself. And so really learning how to be strong, or at least kind of equal in all parts of that, is difficult, because you might be a talented writer, but you're not necessarily organizing groups of people on a daily basis, and you don't really know how to do that. Or you might be really great at organizing. Maybe your day job is you're a manager, but you're not very creative. And so figuring out how to write a story and then direct it so it looks great on the screen is difficult for you. So having that book, Film Notes, around writing as the first section, directing as the second, and production or producing as the third, not only is that the kind of arc that you go through, because generally you start by writing a story and then you figure out, all the directing decisions, and then you go into actual production and you do it. But again, it enabled me to answer that question of why. Well, people are going to want to read my book because it answers all 3 of those aspects of filmmaking, not just one or the other. You can buy lots of books on screenwriting. You can buy lots of books on directing, and there's a ton of books on both producing and all different manner of production for film, both studio film, indie film, low budget, no budget, everything in between. What I wanted to do was give people a book that they could throw in their bag, take it with them, and kind of use it, as I mentioned, like a manual. It's not so much a book that you sit down and you read it from cover to cover. It's more of, you go to the table of contents and you say, oh, I've heard of beats, but I don't really know what those are. And I don't mean beat to eat or Beats by Dre, the headphones. A beat is a story element. So if you have a scene where people are laughing and then they start crying, that's a beat change. So the beat went from joy to sorrow. Or people are laughing and they're happy and then they start arguing. So your beat change is they went from, happy to angry. If you don't know what that means, you may just be thumbing through the book and you're like, oh, beats. I'm just going to read this section. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's really helpful. Or you might be stuck in the writing space. I think I want to complicate my story by putting another element in. That's called a subplot. I don't really know how to do that. I'm just going to pick the book up, go to the table of contents. Oh, he's got a section on subplots. Well, I'll just go to that section. So you don't really need to read it in order. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure book. And I wanted that kind of loose, fun, conversational, it's like I'm sitting down and talking to you. But again, a lot of indie filmmakers, they don't have the time, they don't have the money to hire me as a professional and say, I'm going to sit down with you for an hour a week or an hour a day, or I'm going to hire you for a week straight to come in as a mentor, because I don't have the time or the money to do that. But instead, they can buy my book and they can read through it, and I can kind of mentor them through the conversation of them reading what I wrote. And so that's the why I hope that they will want to read the book.